feel like.
Do you want to get shot? Pay attention! Get out on your knees! Right now!
Ooh la la. Yeah, this is what I feel like. Yeah, I'm doing my best to keep everything that I understand and that I've been taught about healthcare, yeah, to bring that into the public eye again, and the objectivity that is required to do that and to get favourable outcomes in the whole of the industry is now completely disappeared and replaced by people like this. This person, no longer in interviews like this one, wears the Union Jack underpants that he was wearing.
Action by medical staff is the right way forward. I think in this instance it is, because I think Jeremy Hunt has to really be shown that what he's doing is going to be terribly dangerous for the health service. And these doctors are striking because they're altruistic, not because they want to strike. And it's clear, if you talk to any of them, they have a very clear issue and a real conscience, and of course the health service will be covered by senior doctors like myself.
The evidence against what that joker just said is overwhelmingly in favour of the fact that he is just like the Marx Brothers character that he looks a little bit like. Yeah, he gave lectures in New Zealand at Otago University when I was there. He's just a joker. When I went for my interview and failed at Sunderland University, they got a massive injection of funding because he made a visit and promoted their cause. Yeah, okay, that's Lord Robert Winston. All of the covers for all of my news, yeah, quite obvious. Gave lectures in NZ2, a global fraudster and propagandist. And he used to make those lectures in the Union Jack underpants. That's been taken down off the internet, and he lectures at the Hay on Why lectures every year, and he's in the TED series like this man who I've got the director numbers for. This one. Okay, and this is Robbie Burns is all over the news since I revitalised my awareness of this man's director numbers and his appearance on the University Challenge programme with Sally Magnuson, the religious fraudster. They were both representing, I believe, the University of Glasgow team, and this one was really impressive compared to Sally. Oh, have I missed it? Oh no, here we go. Sir Harry Burns. Yeah, Burns Day is 25th of January. Yeah, and it's a massive diversion from the truth for the...
Okay, the title of this session is The Commonwealth, and like Catherine and Cam Donaldson earlier on, I thought I would play around with the title, because the Commonwealth has connotations of money and riches and economic growth, and to be perfectly honest, I'm fed up hearing about it. So, so that's what I thought we'd talk about, the Commonwealth. Well, as in wellness. Adam Smith talked about this. not in his book The Wealth of Nations, but in the book he wrote a few years earlier. What was it called again? The Moral Sentiments, Theory of Moral Sentiments, in which he talked about the fact that there is something in us that requires us to see the happiness of others, even although we derive no profit from it, except the pleasure of seeing it.
He derives no profit from it. Just wait for the director numbers. Yeah, this is my letter to Trevor Jones, and that's the Trevor Jones that is the lookalike for the worshipper at Jehovah's Witness. Yeah, he's on the Forbes rich list, and I'll show you all of that data on the other tabs. Here's his profile. And the people that have been talking up as loose moralists in St Andrew's House have recently been displaced from there. Okay, so this is Trevor Jones, Big Pharma and the Burns Club covers for the Chief Medical Officer in Scotland, who's the man you've just seen with the soft accent, yeah, who was on University Challenge with Sally Magnuson, but none of the evidence of that is shown. Yeah, all of it has been taken down, and when I released the news about these people at the time, that's why they need to make the programmes featuring both of them. And Burns is a really intelligent man. Sally just giggled all the way through the episode as she represented Glasgow University, and that is where Kenneth Kalman now tells the lies about Snowden and the love life of Princess Margaret, and covers that up with the spying agendas involving the non-existent man called Snowden, and that's the same role that Rory Bremner plays in life. Okay, so there's the director numbers for Trevor Mervyn Jones. Yeah, and it's a long story to tell, but let me find my email to Trevor Mervyn Jones. He's a friend of mine for a long time, even after I returned from New Zealand as the most dangerous man on the globe, because I tell the truth about healthcare and how things are in the sector. Dear Trevor, how are things going in retirement? Shame to see pharma leaving these shores. Did I tell you that I had to drop out of the Royal Pharmaceutical Society, or whatever it's called, this week, because of the governance issues that upset you so much? Governance issues. Yet, so they changed it to the Royal Pharmaceutical Society. Yeah, from the ordinary bog standard Pharmaceutical Society, and that means that you then have to pay for the right to work. And Trevor made a stand against that. That's Trevor M. Jones at btinternet.com. Okay, I've got the director numbers there, and it's also CC'd to another pharmacist in inverted commas, because every one of the professions is now headed up by someone from another healthcare profession. Helen Gordon is charming. Yeah, she's lovely and she's genial, and she used to write to me and encourage me in my moralist campaigns. She's not done that for some time. Yeah, she's a fucking midwife. Okay. If you are ever anywhere near Edinburgh, I have reason to believe that you may visit frequently, and that is Edinburgh Pharmaceutical Industries Limited, where Trevor Jones is all over the transcript until I sent these emails, and then suddenly all of his directorial details in Edinburgh and in the Midlothian region, up the Amman Valley, where the Jean Brodie frauds were perpetrated. Okay, yeah, Rosebank, Livingston, yeah, the former trading hub for these massive pharmaceutical holdings involving Trevor Jones, who I mentioned in the Jehovah's Witness yesterday, because he is a massive body double for that man. Okay, I don't know where we're going to find that, but it's on one of the tabs. Okay, so that's the Edinburgh Pharmaceuticals address, Rosebank, Livingston, West Lothian. Yeah, and there are the bases for it, just outside Edinburgh, not way across on the west coast and all over Europe now. There are dozens and dozens of subsidiaries of Edinburgh Pharmaceutical Industries Limited, which is why Trevor Jones has had them taken down off Company Check. Okay, I'll show you what has replaced them in a few minutes. Yeah, some of that you got last night. Okay, so let's find that one and have a wee look at what he's got. So this is the Wellcome Foundation Limited, yeah, and I showed you that in brief last night. Taking us into, oh, pop-up blocked. They're ever so jumpy about the truth. Okay, and I think we've seen all of those tabs, so I'd better close some of them down for obvious reasons, for disk space and the speed of my computer. Okay, so and here, let me take you first. And so Bill Scott, the man who failed to regulate the release of new drugs into the pool for the doctors because of all of the pharma scandals that I've told you about already. Yet that is the correspondence that we'll see on one of those linked OneNote tabs, yeah, on how much British doctors earn to dismember their patients by polypharmacy. So another pharmacist has been appointed, Professor Rosemary Parr. I met her at Holyrood, yeah, in an evening where I was allowed to talk to all of these people. Yeah, Chief Pharmaceutical Officer, and Bill Scott has served for 22 profiteering years. He's the one that condones the launch of every new drug without a patent, so that they can get that huge bung for the Scottish doctors and all of the elderly patients all across Great Britain, yeah, with 3 or 4 different subsidiarised healthcare organisations with different budgets, yeah, all of them run the same scams. 40% of their 100 grand salary from dismembering the patients by breach of the Hippocratic Oath. Okay, and that's the Scottish Government that is prepared to section me for revealing these truths. All of them are massive frauds. The governments are just muppet actors, yet they have no integrity, they have no depth, they just spout back what the moneylenders tell them to say. Okay, Rosemary Parr may well be a different kettle of fish, but I'll find out more about her in the next few days. Okay, so that's the new news that Bill Scott's a goner. Chief Pharmacist out of St Andrew's House, where I got all of the receipts at ministerial level on the massive munitions scandals and the things that could have freed Scotland in the faked up referendum. Let me show you some heroes and villains in the healthcare sector before we get round to the director numbers. That's Ferdinand von Prodzinski, one of the most popular vice-chancellors in our country. He's the boss at Robert Gordon's, interviewed me there for the job. Yeah, I did not get close to it. Bill Scott was on the panel. Yeah, this man has all of my statistics on every one of the frauds in healthcare and in the university, theft projects, yeah, that steal from everything, from all students. He's a German, and that takes you into the links, yeah, to the monarchies from Germany, yeah, that's the Saxe-Coburgs, and their links out of Balmoral to the pharmaceutical industry, which is in one of those tabs. Okay, it does not get bigger. We mentioned the DuPonts in the Illuminati families yesterday. I don't know where Ferdinand von Prodzinski fits into the story. Yeah, he's a massive landowner on the River Dee or the Don in Aberdeen, I forget which. Yeah, and he's the Vice Chancellor at Robert Gordon's, and they have built a crappy new building which will fall over in 20 years as they sell off the ancient Robert Gordon School, which is built in a magnificent manner and is built to last. Yeah, it's absolutely stunning. And that initially was a school, a secondary school, but the university took it over. So let's show you the other pictures of the other heroes and villains. There are very few heroes. Miss Parr from the Pharmaceutical Society in Scotland may well be a hero, a nascent hero. I have not tried to get to her yet. Let's see a little bit of her policy making before I denounce her. Yeah, everybody gets a chance. Very few of them take it. This one is now covering up all of my revelations. He's still my Facebook friend. Yeah, like Fingland's son is still on the front page of my son's Facebook efforts. Yeah, that's the man who tried to section me out of the NHS that these people will not let me have a job in because I'm brutally honest. Like Harrison Ford in the fiction sector. So, leaders of the British Pharmaceutical Society, Pharmacological Society, yeah, I've been in touch with them ever since I came home, and I've been a member ever since I graduated in pharmacology all those years ago. I actually graduated in pharmacy, and I've been a member of the Pharmaceutical Society until I could no longer afford to pay for the right to be workless. Yeah, all of my ventures, I worked for them at the headquarters in Holyrood for the Pharmaceutical Society as a volunteer in practice management and leadership. Yeah, and all of them, I met all of the leadership team. I applied for jobs, I never was considered for any of them. Okay, so but Ferdinand is a really nice guy, which is why I keep trying to tweak his conscience, but I've got no results so far. Okay, and the Birmingham is the BPS. Yeah, all of the monikers and acronyms for the societies have dozens of different monikers. Yeah, and that's like the Science Research Council is the Space Research Council, and that funds the rocket science and leads to the assassination of people like Gerald Boole in Belgium. And you understand the Belgian assassination bureaus, they're run by Nick Clegg's Portuguese wife. Images now, mugshots still on the British Pharmacological Society. I can't remember who was the boss there. Yeah, he sat in judgment on me as the chair of the selection panel at Strathclyde University. Yeah, at least I get the interviews, yeah, and I get to meet the people that are totally dismembering our capability. Yeah, because they have not got the courage to stand up to the royal asset stripping teams that do the same thing to every venerable learned society all across our world and all across the Commonwealth that little Burns twat was talking about. Oh, sorry, I should not talk like that. I should talk like Lord Winston. Maybe show you my underpants. Yeah, just for the gimmicky delivery. Okay, so this is drug discovery at Oxford. They are massive fraudsters. Yeah, the whole of the departments are engaged in academic activities, but they're engaged in drug discovery efforts. I forget the name of the leading people there. One of them is a woman. She's been at it for 20 years. And I can't remember her name. This is the biblical story about curing the blind. That's St. Paul who never lived. Yeah, and the Pauline missions that sparked all of that volcanic and seismic activity all the way from Antioch, yeah, right into Naples and Rome. Yeah, and all of it is just totally faked up by the Piso family. Okay, not too much of that tonight. I'm talking about healthcare and boardroom issues. Not got to that yet. Okay, this is the curing of the condition called macular degeneration, and the person who was my favourite school teacher and a relative of mine from John Lamont's Coldstream, sadly she has that now. Yeah, she's in the legendary Rayburn family down there, and she was a favourite teacher of mine. She got me Jock Stein from Celtic's autograph. Yeah, and I'll now thank you to the Celtic female players who have signed up as my friends on Facebook. We will be able together to expose Baron Reid and Kenny Matheson Dalglish for their massive Ponzi schemes. Yeah, and we can maybe get more money back into the game. Okay, so macular degeneration is now being treated. It's been cured allegedly, and the patents have been filed on the curative drugs. Fuck knows whether they work or make any sort of difference. Yeah, none of the conditions and none of the papers on the proof that they cure the blind have been published. And that was a press release that I attended at Newcastle University with Dr. Paul Shaz, who's not speaking to me now because he prefers the sly methods, and he's the one that wanted to profiteer from making new drugs like that Oxen organisation, rather than just sharing the drugs that we have proven to be effective over ages and ages and ages. Okay, so that's curing the blind, the myth that is now led by Newcastle University and several others. Yeah, and in the pharmacy there are treatments for that condition. I don't know how objective the research is. All of them are new clinical entities for the reasons that I've just explained, that had the man called Scott chased out of office, because he just ticks the box for every profiteering effort that Salmond and the previous Labour regimes condoned. Okay, that is my greatest hero in life. When I was in the very narrow pharmaceutical sector with my head in the test tube permanently, and the grant applications being written at 3:30 in the morning, like I now have to publish my videos. Yeah, and last night the video, they had tried to take it down because the Eva Cassidy song, yeah, about her demonising the terror that is the government sponsored terror and laughing at the Mayflower Christianity jokes, had her die at age 33. I've now taken the music out. When you get to that part of the video, please continue. The telling exposures are beyond the music, yet about being on the Mayflower and being part of the Christian, lethal Christian mission into America. That's James Black. He believed in having small teams. He launched the beta blockers, which are very, very successful antihypertensive drugs, and one other drug class, I forget what it was. Yet all of his drugs have been safe. His latest and the challenge that he failed to deliver on was on a cure for pancreatic cancer, which is one of the most lethal and rapid routes to die. And the people that get that, you know, it's quite amazing when you look at the victims of that and you see what they've been doing in behavioural terms late in their lives. They don't have long to repent, and Sir James was unsuccessful in a quest for the treatment for pancreatic cancer. Okay, he was a Nobel Prize winner and he was a great guy. I was interviewed by him twice, and for the whole of my teaching life, his method of working in a small team on a focused topic and understanding the biology of the pathology and then finding the rate limiting step in that was an inspiration for me. Okay, and the Blacks are ever so helpful in everything I do. Yeah, they're my friends and they were my school chums, and thank you for that friendship lifelong. And when you look at the images of the turning water into wine at the wedding in Canaan, yeah, in the Getty art galleries, yeah, the pictures of the people there, they're dead ringers for the people in those biblical images. Yeah, I don't know how the gods oversee that, but it is uncanny, and I've shared those classical artistic paintings with them and they can see the likeness too. Okay, so let's just keep going and show you. That's my hero. Not many of them. Yeah, and he became a Nobel laureate. And when I met the next Nobel laureate, we were in Queenstown, and that is the biggest earthquake I ever experienced. Okay, so James Black was one of the bosses with Trevor Jones, yeah, who's on the Forbes rich list, and I've got all the director details for him, yeah, at the time when I was working for the Wellcome Foundation in Hertfordshire, where I met my wife, just as we were winding up, and all of the redundancy payments went into my wife's new joint account with me, which she's just about to empty in less than a month's time. Okay, and the people that were with us at that time, James Black was a rival, yeah, for the Nobel Prizes with a man called Salvador Moncada. He spent his whole life working on a gas, yeah, like the gases that are the green menace now, but this one was nitric oxide, and instead of him winning the Nobel Prize like James, he was a runner-up. And those three, Furchot, Igaro and Murad, yeah, that could be a Murray even, yeah, like the Murat that I was reading about last night in the French Revolution. Yeah, and all the treasonous behaviours. It's just the human condition. James Black was a really nice man. Okay, and I saw him storm out of several chemistry sponsored symposia. Yet he was the thinker in the team. The chemists discovered their drugs like a bingo game. It's a numbers game. You make thousands of molecules, you test them out against a receptor, yeah, whether they bind to a protein, and it does not give you a clue as to whether or not they will do anything good, bad or indifferent to the human body when they're actually launched into that. And now the trials are so ambiguous that they're launched into the clinical community without any delay at all, which is why Bill Scott has resigned so quickly. Yeah, under the face of all of my exposures. He packed up in April 2015. Yeah, less than a year ago, under the pressure that the doctors in Kelso are now under. Right, so next one is nitric oxide at Wellcome. The whole of that man's life, Moncada, yeah, he failed to get the Nobel Prize. He dedicated millions and millions of pounds to his research quest, and that is the story about research in universities for almost every one of the academics. Yeah, cannabis research is all the rage. Yeah, and there are 50 or 60 different molecules in cannabis. All of them have to be investigated all at one time. God gave us those molecules in a complex mixture, and the law now says that the ordinary common people are not allowed to use the vegetables without being banged up on the street corners, and all of the world leaders run the cocaine and the heroin all around it, yeah, since the Chinese Opium Wars started. Yeah, that's FDR, that's Prince Philip, that is the triumvirate of drug running people in the south of England, in the Hampshire region, and all of that is a mass, and it's Onassis and those Illuminati family that I talked about yesterday. We're not going to get many director numbers in unless I get a Gildy on. Okay, so that's all my attempts to find, and this is green news in the Paris climate talks. Thanks to Rothamsted for getting back in touch and explaining that since I started to expose Bill Clinton's fraud in that sector, that you're getting more funding back into the coffers for your important research. Yeah, I will not tell you that man's name. He's been my friend for years and years and years. And that's Rothamsted, where they did the nerve gas research. Okay, and climate change threatens 50 years of progress. Those are acts of God. Yeah, and all of it, yeah, they pretend that they now need the funding because they are unaware that all of their evil behaviours and their capacity to steal even from their own students, yeah, it riles the gods up like crazy. Oh shit. So You can see the infatuation with nitric oxide research at Wellcome. And that is Moncada, Salvador. Yeah, all of them are in little feudal wars with the other bosses in the same pharma company. Yeah, and it means that James Black's philosophy is largely overlooked, that if you've got more than 12 people in the team, it becomes unmanageable. Okay, this one is the head of the Medical Research Council. He's the one that defamed me for defamation on LinkedIn. I'm now a super performer or some such. Yeah, they've categorized the number of people that I have in attendance on my LinkedIn profile, and I am super performer. I think that's the gist of the story. Visit my LinkedIn site and you'll see that I acknowledge them for thanking me for that label. Yeah, I used to be in the top 5% of most visited users with Barack Obama, the fraudster. This one's the head of the SRC, the Science Research, the MRC, the Medical Research Council. He's the one that's embroiled in all of the arguments about animal research and the Huntingdon Research Laboratories. And the Huntingdons are those elite families that I've told you all about. And he knows nothing other than there's a Wellcome Trust, and that's why they beg to the Wellcome Trust to get funding. Yeah, he's been knighted since I became his enemy, and he threatened to sue me for defamation. Yeah, have a look at the director numbers and the Ponzi schemes, Colin, that blight everybody's academic pensions, and it does not allow them to have a pay rise for 7 fucking years, because you get your knighthood in favour of the villainy and the treason. Monarchy-led treason. Okay, this is an austere, a well-respected university leader. His name is Baron Cohen, and he's Ali G's fucking brother, specialist in autism. Yeah, and the next one is Ali G for real, the legend. This one never replied to any of my emails, and that's the autism thing that is the scandal about, you know, the need to be injected and to get all of those covers for all of those and all of the hyperkinetic activities that were alleged to be associated with that. Yeah, no one's allowed a drug-free biological life. Yeah, because all of them scare the shit out of people, because they're super performers or they're subnormal, slightly subnormal on that that normal bell-shaped curve, which is the human condition. Most people are in the middle of the bell. Yeah, they're just average performers. You've got super performers and you've got poor performers, and both of those now get medicated for profit for all of these people. Yeah, at every tier of discovery, launch, marketing, yeah, you have a profit stream, and it ends up dismembering all of the patients. All of our world could be drug free were it not for the mantra that we must give you something because you're at the end. Yet even if you're a super performer like me, they want to have me drugged up on the antipsychotics, yeah, which make me pliant, yeah, like all of them are, in the face of all of the loss of all of their innocent funding streams. This is Ali G, and that is the joke about finding his Julie. Ali G and Shaggy. Where's me Julie? Yeah, that's the Rothschilds joke about Julie being the first Gentile married into the Rothschild family, at least in the Rothschild film. Okay, and it's a total trivia machine. Okay, where's me Julie? Yeah, all of them know the Rothschild joke. Yeah, and all of them know the cloven hoof jokes and the rabbit sign jokes. Yeah, and it is just tragic that we could have civilization, but for all of these people, yeah, all of them are trained to be buffoons and to tell lies about what is the biological things that were given us by God, yeah, and they impose all of this new mantra on us. And he's in Rothschild yellow. That is not an accident. Right then, that's Helen Gordon. She used to write to me, she used to encourage me, and that is me writing to her in that letter there. Yeah, she's a midwife. She's the head of the Pharmaceutical Society, not elected there, just appointed by the royals when it becomes the Royal Pharmaceutical Society. And the next one is a friend of mine. He's got a conscience. He's remained my friend on Facebook, and his name is Hemant Patel. Yeah, nice guy. I got my fellowship from him. Yeah, this is to certify that George Lees has been designated a meaningless fellow of the Royal Pharmaceutical Society. We came to get that in 2006. Cost me a fortune. Totally meaningless, and I now can no longer afford to be a member of the Royal Pharmaceutical Society. Yeah, like the pensioners that Trevor Jones protected, but I'm in midlife, and the reason I can't get a job is because I expose all of the frauds. This one's relatively decent. He's not bailed out of communications. I'm still in touch with him. He may become a legend in the course of time if he were prepared to confront this, but I very much doubt it. And Helen has been my friend for years and years and years, but since I sent this letter, she has not been my friend anymore. Okay, so that's the one that exposes those massive companies that Trevor runs, and so this is an email that I sent to him dated 18th July. It was sent to Trevor Jones and to Helen Gordon at the Royal Pharmaceutical Society.com. It's no longer a learned operation. It is a for-profit operation for the Queen. Okay, and she comes into the stories later on in the Balmoral, yeah, stories about the pharma industry, and all the interlocks to those people who have now become saints in Scotland. Okay, dear Trevor, how are things going in retirement? Shame to see pharma leaving these shores. Did I tell you that I had to drop out of the Royal Pharmaceutical Society, or whatever it's called this week, because of the government's issues that upset you so much? If you are ever anywhere near Edinburgh, I have reason to believe you may visit frequently. That's his director numbers on all the Edinburgh companies. Yeah, please let me know. Helen, is there still I forget what they call the fund, decrepit fund, I can't remember what it is. Helen, is there still a benevolent fund, and if so, who are the trustees? She's never talked to me since that. Yeah, she's still the boss. It's amazing. All of them unelected, all of them from different professions. And that took us to the last one, but he's been disappeared. Oh no. So the images. So do you get it? That's the industrial companies that I was unable to profile last night because they have changed their location out of the Edinburgh and Livingston region into the west coast of Scotland and Rabbie Burns' Ayrshire. I just wished that I had shown you the last of those images, because the man who replaced the last pharmacist, yeah, who was Hemant Patel, yeah, in the regulation of pharmacy in Britain, was this one. Here we go. We'll get him. And he's a fucking dentist. Yeah, all of the professions, it's like the religions. They have the rivalry, but in this case, they put the alien profession into the leadership team for the profession that is being dismembered and asset stripped. And his name is Duncan. RPS Fees is in charge of that. Yeah, that's the Royal Pharmaceutical Society in Lambeth, and that is the man, yeah, I cannot afford now to be a member of it, and everything I did for them was as a volunteer. Yeah, and that's the Scottish division. There's another division, so I could not find him for ages and ages. His name is Duncan Rudkin, and he is a dentist. Yeah, and it's tragic, the divide, and there he is, Duncan, looking quite happy with himself. Yeah, and their big issues were, will we let the people from Europe have the right to work even though they can't speak English here? Yeah, and they have the right to do that in dentistry, because all of the Polish dentists run all of the practices around here, and I saw one of them this afternoon. She's the one that said, you deserve to be sectioned since they let me off the hook and I've used the murder words in the NHS. Yet she does not work in the NHS because all of them work for profit in private dental practices now. Maid Marion's mum was the last to deliver NHS dentistry in Kelso. Yeah, you have to go to Dunn's to get your wisdom teeth tinkered with now. And I understand the meaning of wisdom teeth now. Everything I understand, and my mates in the heavens are the reason for that. Yeah, all of those little sensory hairs that give you the facts about the truth and what you need to avoid, and all of those black floating spots in front of your eyes, it is all a message from the gods. Okay? Right then, so I'm going to now go to the director numbers bit and we'll show you some of these things. Okay, so chief pharmacist, so what do we start with? Let's go to Trevor Jones and show you the links to that head medical officer man who's ever so good in the quiz program. So there's Trevor Jones, an interview with him, and I've shown you that. You can look it up. It's Professor Trevor Jones. Look up his name and you will find an article on drug discovery. That's it on YouTube, and I played it to you in the video yesterday. It's a talking up of the need for discovering drugs for illnesses in tropical regions that can be cured by just giving them pure drinking water and decent reservoirs and all of the things that we've had in Britain for way over 200 years already. Yeah, since we sent Livingston and Butcher Jones down there to massacre them all at Khartoum. Yeah, 6,000 miles from London, where Lambeth is. Yeah, and where I had to travel to get my fellowship in 2006. Yeah, on my 6-figure salary and all of those luxury holidays that my wife takes for granted as soon as Intel ask her to desert me. Okay, so there's the Edinburgh pharmaceutical companies that cannot now be found on his director numbers, because as soon as I revealed it, yeah, and I made the mistake of writing to him before I had archived it, he took it down off the company check websites. Okay, and it's a huge profile, and you can find that on the Forbes rich list. Yeah, he's in he's the head of the ABPI, GlaxoSmithKline, or the mergers. Do you see the significance of the Klein world in the elites now? That's the Clooney Abbey pronunciation. It's Naomi Klein. Yeah, and all of the pharmaceutical society activities, yeah, are in now. All of this has gone offshore because the labour is cheaper in China, in all across Eastern Europe. Yeah, and the people that are respected in Sunderland, that were also the athletics family, Mike, I can't remember their name, they now operate out of Czechoslovakia and Eastern Europe. Okay, Spedding, Charlie and Mike Spedding. Mike was a brilliant scientist. I have huge respect for him. Yeah, and he helped to keep the University of Sunderland decent and honest with his input. Okay, so there are some good guys in the story. These people are worth a fortune, which is why Mervyn Trevor Jones is on the Forbes rich list, and that's his entry on the Forbes rich list. Okay, Prof Jones is a founder of the Geneva-based public-private partnership Medicines for Malaria venture and a founder and board member of the UK Stem Cell Foundation. Okay, they've got companies in Iran too. Okay, Allergan, yeah, and you should see the salary bases and all of the companies that they have. He gets non-executive directorships. If this is the man, if this is the man at the Jehovah's Lodge, and you should hear the accent and watch the video, it's just an identical person, and the accent is exactly the same. I don't know how he lives with himself. Yeah, if it is a fraud, and I've been corresponding with him ever since 2009, and I taught him to fish. And he's really nice, and so is his wife. But that is religion as it stands. Yeah, that is science as it stands. And they make their money out of the laundering and the fraud and the Ponzi schemes and the tax evasion. Yeah, and crashing everybody else's fucking pensions. Okay, so let's have a look at the tabs, and we'll quickly flip through it to show you the insight I've got. Director General of the ABPI. Yeah, he's got a little bit longer hair than he currently has at the Jehovah's Witnesses celebration every Sunday. Okay, I've not looked at this. He was honoured by HM, Her Majesty the Queen, CBE in 2003, New Year's Honours List. Colin Blakemore has gotten his bung too. Did not know about that until I looked him up on Google Images. Here's Edinburgh pharmaceutical companies, I think. Only time will tell. Yeah, so this is the switching of that company now across to Irvine in Ayrshire, Rabbie Burns' country, and the Burns is the name of the Chief Medical Officer, and he's all over the profiteering boards. Okay, and there's same thing again, and that's me trying desperately to get the corporate details for those massive companies. Here we have Mr. Alan Burns. It's his pseudonym. Okay, Mr. Alan Glaxo Group Limited, Mr. Alan Burns, 23 of 23, still intact. Mr. Simon Paul Dingemans, Victoria Ann White, that's the Chief Medical Officer for Scotland, that appeared in the quiz team with Sally Magnuson and appeared to be a genius. Yeah, he's really clever. And he has no need to work. Okay, Mr. Christopher Lindsay Christian, Mr. Derek Davis, and these are the people that run all of the scams in league with the chief pharmacist and all of the councils that are elected to pick the drugs that are fit for purpose, to dismember the patients and allow them to coerce every doctor in our country against the Hippocratic Oath. Okay, Miss Victoria White, yeah, look at the numbers of companies, yeah, that they are running at the same time. Jeremy Alan Watkins Strachan, and this is only one of hundreds of subsidiaries that I found the first time I found Edinburgh pharmaceutical companies. Yeah, Patrick Hyde, Mark Bolton, Spencer Heslop, David Hewitt, Guy Usher Munsell, Lorraine Ann Day, Simon Bicknell, Richard James Stevens, Leo Alexander Nuttall, Nether Bolton. Yeah. Current 160, resigned from 251 of a total of 411. And all of the companies that pretended to close down when I was made redundant, and I was given all of that money to my wife ever since, yeah, all of those are still run as Ponzi shells and pyramid buying and selling tax evasion schemes. Okay, and that is the man, Burns, yeah, who's got the Burns 25 days ahead of the Burns Festival. Burns is in the news because I made this video and I made the plans for the video last night. in league with the disclosures on the Jehovah's Witnesses and the Trevor Jones lookalike. Edinburgh Pharmaceutical Industries Limited company summary event history. Yeah, and here we've got Alan Burns appointed in 2012. Yeah, Mr. David Davis has left the board, or Mr. D. Davis. Alan Burns, Chief Medical Officer, has been stuck in there right at the moment that I'm making the fuss about Edinburgh Pharmaceuticals, and I'm making it plain to one of the best pharmaceutical bosses that I ever had, yeah, that I understand entirely that he's not retired, and all of his statements about him being retired and working for the pensioners are a crack of lies. And that's the man that sits in the back row of the Jehovah's sermons every Sunday until he proves that he's not that man. The accent is uncannily similar too. Okay? And this is already after they've moved across to the Gillespie side where Burns came from. Yeah. So, Glaxo Group, and this is the Glaxo name which took over from the Wellcome name that Colin Blakemore was totally unaware of. Okay, and it's also, this is the same address now. This is the new address since I made the exposures. Okay, so let's go to the bigger picture now and show you what we've got. Okay, so this is a snapshot. Another snapshot in time. Subsidiaries in Iran. Okay, Edinburgh Pharmaceuticals again, and that will be on the Ayrshire side, and all of those maps and things that I sent in that email, yeah, are totally different. But look how many frauds they run. Yeah, none of them are productive units in the UK anymore. Okay, investment services, genetics, all of the bullshit new sciences that are used to allow Lance Armstrong to be drug free for a decade, and then to allow us to find that we've got horses in our pies. It's all just propaganda. Glaxo Iran Limited. Wellcome Interferons Limited. Glaxo Iran Limited again. Okay. Wellcome Central American Services Limited. Glaxo North Europe Limited. Glaxo Risk Management Limited. Yeah, and on these listings, Edinburgh Pharmaceuticals are a director. Yeah, they were companies on it, dozens of companies on it, but they're now the directors in the cover-up. Okay, Charles Midgley, GlaxoMed Limited, Allen and Hanbury Russia Limited, Wellcome Insecticides. Yeah, that's where I used to work, in Berkhamsted. Yeah, where all of those stories about de Gaulle and all of the authors, all of the New World Order, Jeff Chaucer, all of them lived in Berkhamsted. Like me. Abbey Health Food Limited, Wellcome UK Limited, GlaxoSmithKline Netherlands Limited, G1 Investments, the Ealing Juice Company, SmithKline Beecham Holdings UK Limited, SmithKline Beecham Corporate Capital Limited, Masterlease UK 4 Ponzi schemes. Yeah, it is absolutely massive. Okay, and only one of them can I find the director listings for now, because companies check have screwed up their methods. SmithKline Beecham Mauritius Limited, SmithKline Beecham Mauritius Limited 2, SmithKline Beecham, it's absolutely amazing. Portuguese South Africa Produtos Farmacêuticos Químicos, Beecham Brands Limited, Charles Midgley Limited, SmithKline Beecham Australia. Yeah, do you get the picture? It's quite sickening. Yeah. And the Jehovah's do not take a collection every Sunday. Stifle UK, GlaxoSmithKline Caribbean Limited. Yeah, Are you getting the picture? Right. A Balfour linkage. I'll quickly go through the tabs. That's a Balfour on those massive boards. Ian Main Ferguson Balfour. GSK Capital is run by 3 directors, and this will be the 3 directors will be the company that we've just referred to. GlaxoSmithKline Capital PLC, 129 million liabilities, net worth of 3 million. Brentford Middlesex, this one, I'm not sure where this is highlighted. It's just to show you the big pharma tab, and it's GlaxoSmithKline Capital. Yeah, about the issuance of money and the laundering all around the world. Okay, and when the director of that is Trevor's former companies that they've now totally crashed and dispersed all through Europe so that they can no longer be traced. So that is Edinburgh Pharmaceutical Industries Limited as the director. Yeah, with Glaxo Group Limited, and Mr. Simon Paul Dingemans will have a birth date and a period of service. Yeah. And there's the human directors at the bottom. There's Ian Main Ferguson Balfour, a secretary for the company. Crashed all 10 of the companies when he was the secretary for them. Yeah, between 1992 and 1994. Okay, cannot see anything else sensational there. So can you see how it works? It's just a massive set of interlocking frauds. All of the productivity is in other countries because the cheap labour's there, and it means that all the families that are involved have to get dismembered by emigration, like me. GlaxoSmithKline Capital PLC. Let's quickly go through it. I think you're getting the gist of it. I'd like to find the ones that Burns is on, because that's really telling that you've got the chief medical officer in such a corrupted country, in such a healthcare industry, that he can become a hero and lecture the TED people. That's another one on the Glaxo Group Limited, Brentford in Middlesex. Wellcome Foundation, that's my old company. Glaxo Group Limited, still going strong after all of these years. So it's now in the Glaxo groupings as just a Ponzi scheme. It was sold to a French company called something Uclaf, Roussel Uclaf, and that may be the Taze Russell families. Okay, you remember that story yesterday? The Roussels, yeah, become the Russells, they become the Russell Group, and all of it is a steal from the World Project. Oh, here's Harry Burns, let's get that in. Okay, Edinburgh Pharmaceutical Industries. Alan Burns is the pseudonym for Harry Burns. It's on his Wikipedia profile. Okay, he's a director on Edinburgh Pharmaceutical Industries Limited, even after they chased Trevor Jones off it because I had exposed him as being a director on it. Okay, Stephen Cowden, Lorraine Day, Julian Hislop. Nothing sinister there, not very big figures though, at least as far as I'm aware. Director appointed 12th December 2012, not long after Sally was on University Challenge with the Glasgow, you know, talk it up in that ever so politically correct manner on the stage at the TED lectures, and steal from all of your students as you rake it in as a non-executive director on all of those companies. Mr. Alan Burns. Here's Harry Burns again. Trevor done a runner, that one's called. Okay, smart man on University Challenge, big wig at Strathclyde. Oh, I thought it was Glasgow, like Calman, Ken Calman. Okay. Sir Henry Harry Burns is the Professor of Global Public Health, University of Strathclyde, having been the Chief Medical Officer for Scotland from September 2005 to April 2014, when Dr. Sandy Morris was worried about the politicians in Scotland making decisions that might mean that he might have to dismember his patients beyond the year 2010, and that was the first sectioning threat prompted for by Miss Valerie Jane Lees in 2011. That's assassination by the NHS if you've got the courage to execute a man with all of your director details in the frauds against your patients through all of your careers. Yeah, and he's gone to posh schools. Right then, so I'm getting the story told. Let's go through those last other tabs and I'll get some sleep. Professor Allen, yeah, same man I think. Come on, up you come. He's stooping ever so low, and it's not going to let me take the slider to the top. Don't know what Professor Allen is covering up. I'm going to have to put the camera down. It's a huge long list. Alan Burns, yeah, medical officer, ever so posh sounding on TED about political correctness in our world. He has none. An amazing list of establishment links, Camerons, Aitkins and hyphens, all the way to the busted banks. Alan Burns, director number 904558321, Hill Park House, Kincaple, St Andrews, where the Fingland's children train as doctors, yeah, and as mathematicians and actuaries. Yeah, and all of that is on my son's Facebook page, but I'm not my son's friend anymore because of what Dr. Fingland's family have done to me through my wife and her disloyalty and her capacity to say that I am fit only for execution by the NHS so that she can have all of my assets on behalf of the corrupted governments, both sides of the Better Off Together border. Okay, Derek Donald Reid, Murdo Mackenzie Fraser, William Gordon Jackson, Keenan, Tulloch, Farquhars, Smith Milnes, Stuart Mathers, David Rutherfords, yeah, also the Jehovah's Witness Scottish joke, Thomas Banks Hamilton, Thomas Hamilton, not that one presumably, with 65 companies crashed out of 93. He's the one that gave the gun in the diversions at Dunblane, yeah, and all of the stuff. There's Professor Alan Burns, yeah, 14 companies to begin with, resigned from 11 of them between 2006 and 2006. That's getting near to the time when they launched the huge banking crash and the reset. Enterprise Leavenmouth Limited, Andrew Keddy, Neil Donaldson, Councillor Agnes Joyce Smith, Alexander Allian Bullions, Mr. Alan Burns, yeah, Mr. Alan Burns this time, Michael Forbes Wallace, Peter Dyer, Robert Broadshaw Watt, Kerr Livingston Gough, Robert Neves Turpey, Lynn Anderson Westwood, Mr. Ronald William Jackson, North British Distillery Company Limited, oh, the bootleggers story, okay, David Andrew Cutter, Hutchin, Currell, Bedford, Lee, David Ray, McDonald's, Fraser's, yeah. Okay, let's see what the next company is. Geoffrey Milliken, Peter James Sidney Russell, Mr. William Spalding Thompson, Professor Alan Burns, Sir John James Griffin Good, 27 of his 36 crashed, Turnbull Hutton. Yeah, the combination of the two most infamous names in my recent stories. That's the Turnbulls of Fat Lips, and that is Hutton, the greedy and murderous councillor that sends all of the people in the kilts to the Las Vegas military tattoo and runs the Burns Club as a for-profit thing as he crashes the whole of the Borders Council that he used to lead. Charlie Stewart, Douglas Colquhoun, Ian Scott, Stuart Andrew Clark, David Bruce Boyter Smith, Markland, Dyer, Macpherson, MacDonald. Let's go to the bottom. You get the lords and ladies down there. Mr. James Torrance, Mr. John Duncan Cameron, Mr. Mark Goldsmith, Mr. Mark Rumsey Hastings. Hundreds and hundreds of them. Mr. Thomas Lacey Murray Sunter, Professor Peter William McIntosh, Professor Philip Francis Esler. Oh, I've heard of the Eslers before. Professor Alan Burns. Okay, do you get it? James Andrew Bishop, William Addison Roxburgh, Catherine Ann McAlpine, quite a famous name in the Tory club. Quality Scotland Foundation Educational Trust. Yeah, all of the students are in thousands and thousands of pounds debt pools, and these sad bastards steal it from them. Okay, Mrs. Rona, Miss Rona Joan Cameron, Sir Andrew Cuby, 43 of his 71 crashed as they profit from the in-debt student pool. Ewerts, yeah, Mosson, Devereux, the world owning bloodlines, Morrisons, Anthony Warwick Brindle, Monaghan's, Monaghan's even, Colin Liddell, Plale, Milne, let's get to the bottom, Douglas Murray Bennett, Pignatellis, yeah, that's a big name, yeah, that is the big biblical fraud all the way through world history, and it's everywhere. Ian Alistair Robertson, McDermott's, McClellans, Kitchens, Mackenzies, and Mackay, the bloodlines that are into Hillary Clinton's. Hastings again, Ferguson's again, Governor Generals all around the world, Millicans, Hilary Crowe, McNiven, the Right Honourable Viscount Younger of Lecky, Sir Ronald Andrew Baird Miller, Sir John McQueen Ward, Professor Robert Thompson Beattie, Professor Alan Burns, Chief Medical Officer, yeah, lecturer on the podium, yeah, total fraud, really clever in the quiz team, maybe he gets the answers in advance. Lieutenant Commander Thomas Ewart Shields, Gordon Ford, Judith Ann Aitken. Okay, National Theatre Scotland. Oh, that takes us into the Duchess of Sutherland again, and the Melrose School, and Maclay, Murray and Spains, and all of the corrupted sheriffdom, including my mate. I think that my mate, Sheriff Peter Patterson, may be on that one. Yeah, yeah, it is massive. Yeah, the Bonner Laws, Miss Anne Elizabeth Bonner, Vicky Ferguson, Professor Alan Burns, Burness, yeah, all the Burney jokes, the Burney jokes in Rabsy Nisbet, they're a massive laundering company. Yeah, that's an even bigger one, Maclay, Murray and Spains Limited Liability Partnership, that's a legal firm. 1,300 of the 2004 companies crashed, so that every one of those companies, every one of those crashes takes just under £1 million out of the country. Yeah, totally immune from regulation and law. That's why the Murrays are in it. Mr. Alan Hardy, Charles Stewart Maffei, we're not going to get through it. So I can send you the PDF if you write to me and ask for it. Master Lease, this is another one of the subsidiaries of Trevor Jones's companies, but I need to take you to the bottom if I've got any time at all for the other tabs. Okay, Sinister Shari, that could be the Iranian one. Oh, it's a shareholding scam. Okay, shareholder breakdown. So this is the companies that come out of those Glaxo subsidiaries, and latest shareholders equity figure issued share capital 37 million, and there's nothing left. Someone else has done a runner. Okay? The shareholders are not identified for obvious reasons. Okay? Ally Finance. What is that? For Wales, Trevor. Oh yes, this is the stuff that you can find on his transcripts. Yeah, on the companies that are make him the Forbes rich list man. But I want to show you the other tab, because it takes you into the royals and the people in the Balmoral region that have been sainted just recently. Okay, there's the ally companies, the ultimate owners of master lease, which are corporations too, not directors, are not actually in existence, hence the existence, hence sinister, no hyperlink. Okay, so it's company directors are actually institutions. That's all over the frauds. This one's out of Cardiff, where all of my disloyal students went when I came back from Dunedin, including the jihadis. Okay, so we've seen Trevor. This chief pharmacist is Bill Scott. He's packed up, yeah, because I've exposed what he does to the patients, yeah, and I don't know whether or not he got knighted as he defected under the light of my exposures. Pharmacoeconomics and polypharmacy. This is it. This is the one that covers all of my letters from the did the election result make it easier to talk about pharmacoeconomics and polypharmacy? Sandy Morris GP, yeah, and he refuses to reply to that because his mate Fingland by that time wants me sectioned, yeah, prompted for by my wife, yeah, so that she can take everything from me on behalf of the government in Chipping Norton, where her brother fucking lives. Right then, so we've just got time to skip down it, but there's the Ogilvys that have now been sainted. They're involved in the interlocks with the royals, with the Glaxo Wellcome companies, through the Ogilvy links, yeah, and a lot of the local council frauds include the same networking members. Okay, that's Balmoral, one of those massive 300 castles that the Queen has. Okay, and there's the Forbes rich list, and there's the Debrett's data, there's Trevor again, and there's the letters from the doctors, yeah, telling me that Sandy Morris and all of the British doctors get 40 grand of their six-figure salary, and until the next government is elected, yeah, that is Salmon's corrupted government. Yeah, there is not a tab with Salmon on it. Salmon got all my emails on all these frauds, and there's my old colleague Jeff Merson. I recognised that name from the old days in Wellcome. Yeah, Edinburgh Pharmaceutical Industries Limited, that had billions at the bank in 2011 with Trevor Mervyn Jones as a director, and Agilent, both directorships now obfuscated from Company Check, and companies in the UK use Glaxo Group Limited as directors and secretary. The Glaxo Group still include Wellcome Foundation Limited and so many subsidiaries that came into being in the early 1990s and were supposedly closed, conglomerated as trading entities. It is a crock of lies and Ponzi shells. If you look within, you see they use Masterlease UK 4 Limited as secretary, at least 4 numbered. Those are Ponzi schemes, and both use SWIFT as their laundering tools, and Instant Companies Limited for a 4-month period in 1998. SWIFT have 263,000 companies, a total of which 266,000 have resigned. Jeff Merson was a familiar name in pharma, and the cover for him is the Merson on the football pitch at Arsenal. And Arsenal is the launch of Lagos the Rabbit and the Arsenal characters in the Pharaoh bloodlines, and all of it they think is a huge belly laugh until the ordinary people like me get educated, and we're just as clever as them, and we're a lot braver, and I'm going to bring it to its knees. Right then, so you know all the stories. Look up all the crimes by the Kelso Healthcare Centre, and all of the British doctors get the same deal. Yet none of them have the courage to come out. I'm on the boards of intensive care journals. I talked to big leaders of men in that sector, and I was on the editorial board of all of those journals even before I left for New Zealand. Okay, so let's go down to the Royals and take you down to the profiteering in pharma. So this is linked to Ogilvy. The Royal Collection Trust is run by 8 directors. I'm not sure. David John Ogilvy, the Prince's Foundation, and these are the interlocks. The Prince's Foundation, John Middlecott Barnum, the Royal Collection Trust, St James's Place, Palace, London. Not Kensington Palace with the KP initials this time. Okay. We've not archived it very well. Okay, and the Royal Collection Trust, York House, St James's Palace, London, SW1A 1BQ. Okay. Dame Rosalind Joy Saville. Have you heard of that name in a royal connection before? Montague Douglas Scott, the Dukes of Buccleuch. H.R.H. Charles, the Prince of Wales. This is pharma profiteering. Mr. Peter John Charles Troughton, that's another Doctor Who name, 34 of 41 crashed. Philip Allen Reid, the Right Honourable Earl Peel, William James Robert Peel, those emancipated the slaves and launched the polis into London, the Robert Peelers. Sir Philip Allen Reid, Right Honourable Christopher Edward Wollaston Mackenzie Geit. He's only got one company. Lady Lucinda Victoria Shaw Stewart, Major Sir Shane Gabriel Blewett, another Dad's Army character, Mr. Duncan Robinson, Mr. James Thorne, Mr. John Ralph Sidney Guinness, massive dynasty, Mr. Robert Edward Foster, Mr. Simon Swinnan Jervis, Miss Deborah Vivian Cavendish Dowager, Duchess of Devonshire. Yeah, right next door to, I think it's Downton Abbey, and the Duke of Devon is in that massive place right next to Derby. Okay, Miss Judith Lynn Hill, Sir Michael Peat, Sir Robin Berry Janvrin, Sir William Eric Kinloch Anderson, the Honourable Mrs. Mary Anna Sibel. Yeah, the joke about Sibel. Where is my tiger? Yeah. Elizabeth Martin, the Right Honourable David Hennessy's, massive legendary names for champagne. The Right Honourable Ralph Thomas Champion George Sherman Camoys, the Right Honourable Richard DeLorge Luce GCVO, the Right Honourable Sir Robert Fellows. This is the pharma profiteering in the links to Glaxo Wellcomes of the Royals and St Ogilvy. The Right Honourable the Earl David George Patrick Coke Ogilvy, the Earl of Airlie. Robert Edward